Welcome to Journey Through Eras, where we explore the fascinating stories and histories that shape the world we live in today. In this episode, we step back in time to Colonial America, a period where personal hygiene was far different from what we know now. With limited resources, primitive practices, and evolving beliefs, the colonists had to rely on creativity and resilience to maintain cleanliness. Join us as we uncover what hygiene was really like during this formative time in American history and gain insight into the daily lives of those who built the foundations of modern society. The challenges of hygiene in colonial America. Colonial America presented many obstacles to maintaining personal cleanliness. For one, settlers often lived in isolated communities far from any major city or infrastructure. Water sources were typically limited to rivers, lakes, or wells, which weren't always easily accessible. There were no sewage systems or trash collection services, so waste often had to be dealt with in makeshift ways. In addition to the physical challenges, there was a limited understanding of disease prevention during this period. While many people knew that filth could cause illness, the link between germs and disease wasn't well understood until much later. Thus, hygiene practices were more about what people believed worked rather than any scientific reasoning. Bathing practices in colonial America. Bathing, by modern standards, was not as frequent as we might expect. Many colonists, especially in the earlier days of settlement, believed that frequent bathing could lead to illness, thinking it opened the pores to dangerous vapors or bad air. This idea, which was rooted in medieval beliefs about bodily humors, led to people bathing infrequently, often only once or twice a year. However, as the colonies grew in cities like Philadelphia and New York became more established, attitudes toward bathing began to shift. Wealthier households had access to bathtubs made of wood or copper, which could be filled with water that had been heated over a fire. In wealthier homes, people might bathe more regularly, but even so, it was still seen as an occasional luxury. For most people, however, personal cleanliness was achieved through simpler methods, such as washing hands and face with a cloth or wiping down with a damp towel. In rural areas, where bathing water might be scarce, colonists would often wash in nearby streams or rivers during warmer weather. Hygiene in the absence of soap. Soap was not as widely available in colonial America as it is today. Although soap making had existed for centuries, it was a labor-intensive process that involved boiling fats and oils with lye, which could be time-consuming and dangerous. Early colonists often relied on alternatives to soap, such as homemade remedies like vinegar or herbal solutions. They also used ashes from wood fires to create an abrasive substance for cleaning. For washing their bodies, people would often use a cloth or rag dipped in water or herbal infusions. Colonial Americans would also rub their bodies with oils and perfumes, which provided a cleaner feeling and masked unpleasant odors. Herbs such as lavender, rosemary, and mint were common for this purpose. For cleaning their clothes, early settlers used a combination of homemade soap and a method known as lye washing, using lye to help break down grease and stains. Hair care in colonial America. Hair care in colonial America was quite different from modern routines. For most colonists, washing their hair wasn't something that was done frequently. In fact, many people simply brushed or combed their hair to keep it tidy and free from tangles. This was especially true in rural areas, where water was a scarce resource and there was little time for regular hair maintenance. Colonists often relied on dry methods to keep their hair clean. They used brushes, combs, and even homemade powders to keep their hair looking neat. Some also turned to natural oils or grease to help protect their hair from dirt and dust. In wealthier households, women might use wigs made from human or animal hair, which required regular cleaning and maintenance. It was common for wigs to be powdered or scented to hide any unpleasant smells. Dental hygiene in colonial America. Colonial Americans did not have access to modern dental care or products like toothpaste and toothbrushes. As a result, dental hygiene practices were rudimentary at best. People would sometimes use cloths or rags to clean their teeth, rubbing them with salt, ash, or even a mixture of honey and vinegar. Wealthier colonists could afford to buy imported brushes made from animal hair, but these were expensive and not common among the general population. It wasn't uncommon for colonists to lose their teeth at an early age due to poor dental hygiene, especially in the absence of proper care or treatments for dental infections. Sanitation and waste disposal. Sanitation in colonial America was far from ideal. In many homes, waste disposal was handled in a rudimentary way. Chamber pots, which were portable toilets, were commonly used in the absence of indoor plumbing. People would relieve themselves into these pots, which would then be dumped outside or in a designated waste area, often located far from living spaces. These areas became breeding grounds for bacteria, contributing to the spread of disease. In larger towns or cities, some public outhouses were built to handle waste, but they were also rarely cleaned and often posed health risks. In fact, it wasn't until the 19th century that a proper understanding of sanitation and waste management began to emerge. Clothing and hygiene. In colonial America, the cleanliness of one's clothes played a significant role in overall hygiene. Since clothes were expensive and not easily replaced, colonists often wore the same garments for long periods. Washing clothes was a labor-intensive task, and it was usually done only when absolutely necessary. People would often air out their clothes and refresh them with scented herbs to combat unpleasant smells. For the wealthier colonists, clothes were made from higher quality fabrics that could withstand more frequent washing. In contrast, poorer settlers wore more basic clothing, which was often made from homespun wool or linen and was much harder to keep clean. Hygiene in colonial America was shaped by limited resources, prevailing health beliefs, and the realities of life in a new land. While modern sanitation systems and personal care products were non-existent, colonists found inventive ways to stay clean. Bathing was infrequent, personal care routines were basic, and hygiene was often more about appearances than actual cleanliness. Despite these challenges, the early settlers of America were able to adapt, and as time went on, hygiene practices improved. Understanding their methods highlights not only the differences in personal care over the centuries, but also the resourcefulness and resilience that helped build the foundations of modern American society. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Journey Through Eras. We hope this deep dive into the world of colonial America's hygiene practices has given you a fresh perspective on life in the past. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating historical journeys. Stay with us as we continue to explore the past, one era at a time.